This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun Saturday. It's going to be a busy couple hours ahead because, we're in the midst of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're 3.5 weeks in. We're well into the second round. Teams are now on the brink of elimination. It's going to be a busy couple of hours. There's some serious stuff. There's some absurd, ridiculous stuff that we'll have to get into, but we're going to try and have some fun with that as well. Also, a lot of good stories, a lot of interesting stories. Emily Kaplan from ESPN.com is going to join us in hour number one. If you haven't checked out any of Emily's stuff on ESPN.com, you should. She's done some really interesting pieces as of late, so we'll get into that. Ty Anderson covers the Boston Bruins for 98.5 The Sports Hub. We'll talk to Ty about the Bruins, the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning that they lost 3.5 minutes into overtime, and the many layers of the onion that were game number 4 between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News for another week and soon to be of the Dallas Stars will join us to talk about the Stars' new head coach, Jim Montgomery, and a few other things as well. Brian McNally covers the Washington Capitals for NHL.com. We'll talk to Brian about the Caps. Their Game 5 set to go this evening against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That series tied up at 2 apiece. Plus, of course, we'll touch on the Winnipeg-Nashville series, also even at 2. That game coming up later on this evening at 9:30. Also, San Jose and Vegas. It's now a 3-2 lead for the Vegas Golden Knights over the San Jose Sharks. Got it all covered for you. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, live at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, all powered by Primetime Radio. Our Twitter and Instagram handles at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is my email. And the hashtag for today, of course, is HU Dog of the Day, because we do it every Saturday. We are looking for your Dog of the Day nominations. Send us a photo of your pup. Tell us your name. Tell us your dog's name. If there's a nice story that involves how you two came together, we'd love to hear that as well. We like to honor and recognize great dogs, and we do it every Saturday. We pick a winner at the end of the show. There's no cash award prizes, but, we put the picture up on our website. We put it up on our Facebook page, through social media, and we like to honor and recognize great dogs because we are a dog-friendly show. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to send us your photos. Hope you're having a good Saturday. It is Kentucky Derby Day, and it is Cinco de Mayo all at once. So that means like mint juleps plus cervezas, maybe a little Jose Cuervo, one or the other. So that's like double or triple day drinking. That's a reason to celebrate. We're well into the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's 3+ weeks in. Maybe that's what Brad Marchand was getting into last night. He was just trying to start the Cinco de Mayo celebration early with a little Jose Cuervo. You know how you do the salt lick and then the lime and then the shot and then the lime. Maybe he was just trying to celebrate a little bit early. Maybe that's where the whole tongue out assertion to Ryan Callahan of the Tampa Bay Lightning started. Should we start with this because this is the most ridiculous of stories that's been captivating everyone on social media and in mainstream media? And just seeing on Twitter a couple of seconds ago, Darren Dreger from TSN tweeting out that the NHL is getting involved in this whole licking situation and Brad Marchand will be told to knock off that nonsense. Nonsense is exactly what it is because of the frenzy that it has created. And I don't know what started it. Marchand blew it off when questioned about it post-game on Friday, say, well, he punched me in the face 4 times first. Well, that makes perfect sense. Then why wouldn't you lick the guy? Stick your tongue out and lick the guy. He's punched you in the face 4 times. You should lick him. That will make him stop. It's weird. It's strange. It's unconventional. But now, because the league is going to get involved in this whole thing, it's going to become even more ridiculous. Because you know that there's going to be some sort of edict or rule or procedure put in place, certainly before the Bruins and Tampa's next game on Sunday at Amalie Arena, where the Lightning will have a chance to close out that series. But you know that there's going to be an email coming and everybody's going to get a copy of it. It's not going to go out on paper. There may be a hard copy somewhere, but everybody's going to get an email. So you're going to look at your email, and you're just going to get the indicator pop up, and you're going to see who it's from, which would be National Hockey League, maybe some Department of Rules and Regulations, but you're going to see NHL, and in the subject heading will read licking. The NHL will issue a rules bulletin to do with licking. And it is going to be filled with all kinds of legal language, because those are the procedures you have to go through to implement something like this. It's going to be full of all kinds of legalese. And this is where it gets to the absurd point, that there's going to be all kinds of legal language. It says, well, whereas it cannot be ascertained with 100% certainty that proper hygiene is being practiced by all players out on the ice. From this point forward, we find it inappropriate and illegal to lick an opponent in any place on his person during a National Hockey League game. We find that will be punishable by an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and if such actions persist, further discipline will be taken in the form of 10-minute misconducts or game misconducts, or could be subject to further discipline by the Department of Player Safety. And can you imagine the video that's going to come out with this one? There's going to be, the 3-minute explanation video of why this discipline is taking place. And as the video clearly shows, player X did stick his tongue out and perform a licking motion on the skin of his opponent. This is licking. The Department of Player Safety has decided to suspend player X. I don't know what started this. I don't know. It seems that it's nothing more than Brad Marchand doing something to try to get his opponent unsettled, try to disrupt them. And you can see that it had a disruptive effect on Ryan Callahan and other opponents as he's gone through this season and into the playoffs. It's had the desired effect. Everybody wants to get their opponent off their game. So let's just agree. I don't know if we need the whole rules process, but it's going to happen now. Can we all just agree? Unless it is between consenting adults, licking is not permitted. Do we need to have a rule in hockey that suggests that, or society in general? I mean, licking someone is a pretty intimate act. Sometimes it's a really intimate act. Do we need to have rules that say there is no licking allowed except between consenting adults? If the league, as we say, they said they haven't spoken to the Bruins so far, but it's coming. The bulletin will be coming out. No licking allowed, unless you're involved in the HU Dog of the Day, hashtag HU Dog of the Day. The other part of this is it's taking away from what's been a really dramatic series and a really interesting series between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. And game 4 of this series had no shortage of drama. It looked a lot like game 3 in the early going, because you had Tampa jumping out to a 2-0 lead. And then cue the comeback. Nice work by Boston, coming back. Score the goal, and then a beautiful, beautiful shorthanded goal. That team, Brad Marchand, a.k.a. the Licker, with Patrice Bergeron, who makes a beautiful play to pop the puck over Andrei Vasilevsky into the back of the net, puts them on top, 3-2 at that point. I'm not sure what Victor Hedman was doing on the play, by the way. He seemed to be directing traffic for Nikita Kucherov to maybe take Bergeron, and was trying to keep an eye on Marchand, and he looked like he watched the puck go by him. Didn't seem to make a play on it. Maybe he expected Nikita Kucherov to make a play, but he watched it go by. He should have been standing there in a reflective vest and gloves directing traffic, because that's what he looked like he was doing to me on the play. But good for Boston to fight back and get into it. The power play that Tampa happened to be on when Bergeron scored that shorthanded goal was a terrible call against Noel Acciari for hooking Victor Hedman. He barely touched him. The make good call came later on as Tyler Johnson poked Zdeno Chara and he went down like he'd been shot. There was a no call on what turned out to be the tying goal from Steven Stamkos. Nikita Kucherov grabbed Charlie McAvoy, who was trying to move the puck around the net and out of the zone, knocked him down, sent the puck over to JT Miller, who moved it over to Steven Stamkos, who wired it into the back of the net. No call. I understand that there's going to be missed calls. I can accept that. Sometimes you get a break, sometimes you don't. But officiating in the postseason has gone way beyond occasional misses. This is inept performance of your duties. I got lots more coming up on the refs later on, but this has gotten to the point of, almost as absurd as one player trying to lick another. The officiating it started out subpar, and it has gotten worse as the playoffs have gone along. Either not being able to keep up with the play, being out of position, or more accurately, just not making the calls. Choosing not to make the calls. And if I hear one more time Pierre Maguire or someone else say the refs have established the standard and they need now to keep that consistent through the game, I'm going to barf. It is not up to the referees to establish the standard. The standard is written in the rule book. Your job is to enforce the rules. They're not doing it. There's a lot of reasons, I think, why that's happening. Part of it is they can't keep up with the game. It has gotten so fast. And the other part of it is the nonsense of managing the game. We want to keep the game under control, so we're going to let some things go. We're going to manage the game. Well, you're managing down the product. It's getting worse, and it's a shame because there's some great hockey. There's been some tremendous plays. Goaltenders have been great. There's been some really cool finesse plays, great goals scored, excellent playmaking, excellent defensive plays, and your poor enforcement of the rule book and choosing not to call the rules is making a mess of it. It could be even better, and that's the part that I find exasperating. It was a really dramatic game between Tampa and Boston. It became sidetracked because of poor officiating and a gross move, quite frankly, with Brad Marchand. But that's going to be dealt with because the league is getting in on it, and we'll stop this nonsense. We'll send out an email with the subject heading "licking" and say that it's not allowed. You know what it should make for? It should make for some great signs in Tampa on Sunday when the Bruins show up and Tampa has the chance to eliminate. I bet some of the signs that come into that building are going to be pretty funny and worth checking out. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into today. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day to send us your Dog of the Day nomination. A photo of your pooch, dog's name, your name. There's a nice story that goes along with how you two came together. We like that as well. We like to honor and recognize great dogs. Lots to get into from the Tampa Bay Lightning and Boston Bruins perspective. We'll do that. Ty Anderson, who covers the Bruins for 98.5 The Sports Hub, will join us later on this hour. We'll talk about Tampa, the chance to eliminate the Boston Bruins on Sunday to be the first team to move on to the conference final. Mike Heika with the latest on the Dallas Stars and their new coach, Brian McNally, coming up to talk Washington Capitals as well, getting set for Game 5 with the Pittsburgh Penguins this evening. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with Emily Kaplan from ESPN.com after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Welcome back. It's the Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, live at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Busy program today. We'll look back at the two games from Friday night. We'll look ahead to the Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins, as well as the Winnipeg Jets and Nashville Predators on Saturday evening. Both of those series are even at 2 apiece. I've been really enjoying a lot of the work on ESPN.com from Emily Kaplan this season. She's got a whole bunch of interesting pieces just in the last week or two that I've really enjoyed reading, and I'm happy that she's able to join us. You can follow her on Twitter at Emily Kaplan. Emily, let's start, I guess, with the whole Bruins and Tampa series. I thought it was a captivating game, and in a way, it was kind of a distraction to have all of the other outside nonsense that went on in this game.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, I was at the game last night. And look, if you want to know what kind of test Brad Marchand is, consider the Lightning are on a 3-game winning streak. They just won an overtime game on the road. They're 1 win away from their 3rd conference final appearance in 4 years. And their locker room was somber, and all they had to do was talk about Lickgate and Brad Marchand licking Ryan Callahan, as well as some officiating. So I think that kind of speaks to the game last night. The series probably went the way people thought it would go, in the sense that the Lightning have been the strong team they have been all year. But it's definitely been full of a lot of distractions.
Yeah, it's a surprise series to me, in that the Lightning have taken a 3-1 series lead. Yes, they've been strong all year, but Boston was sensational in the second half of the season, especially. I thought this was going to be a much closer series, and that we would have a 6 or 7 game series, as we will with the other 3. And if you want to know what kind of pest Brad Marchand has been, I guess it's ineffective, because the Tampa Bay Lightning are up 3-1.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah, I mean, I picked the Bruins to win the series, I'll be honest, and I did think it was closer because it's the 2 top teams in the East. The Bruins have showed so much resilience this year, but it seems like it's all coming down for them, and I think a lot of it is they're probably dealing with a lot of injuries. Like Jake DeBrusk last night was in the lineup. He just didn't look like he had a pep in his step.
Yeah, he took a hit at one point in the game last night too, and you could see that he was laboring and getting up. And I'm just not sure what Boston can do now to focus on Game 5 and try to get a victory, because they had their chances, they had their opportunities, and now to try to let's forget about 6 and 7, but just to win Game 5 is an enormous task for this team.
It sure is, especially when they're not at home anymore. And look, Bruce Cassidy did make lineup changes for Game 4. He put in Ryan Donato, who made a series debut. He also put in Brian Giunta. I didn't think either player was super effective. I'm curious to see what lineup tweaks he makes, but I think at this point he might have, passed the point of return.
Yeah. Emily Kaplan is our guest from ESPN.com. At Emily M. Kaplan is how you follow her on Twitter. I want to ask you about a number of pieces that I've seen on ESPN.com that you've put together. In fact, one I was checking out earlier today, the feature on Pierre-Edouard Bellemare of the Vegas Golden Knights. I learned so much in this piece. I had no idea, but after reading it, what a perfect fit he is for that team because of his life experiences and moving from one country to another, being unfamiliar with the language. That kind of experience made him the perfect leader for Vegas to have in their locker room to help bring this group together.
Yeah, he really embodies a lot of what this team is about. You hear the Vegas Golden Knights embracing the term misfits, right? They're all spare parts. At some point, they were told they were not needed anymore, or a team wanted somebody else better, and that's how they all ended up in Vegas. And Pierre Bellemare's journey to get there is just so improbable. He grew up in France, where literally his own GM on the French national team told him, stop dreaming of the NHL. It's not going to happen. And so for him to get to that point, make his way to Sweden, work his way through the Swedish Elite League for a very long time, and then make it to Philadelphia Flyers training camp at age 29, where he's not technically even a rookie by CBA, definition, is pretty incredible. He's such an engaging personality, and I just love the fact he's an alternate captain for that team because, like you said, there's no better fit.
And to give up medical school to try to make that dream come true. What a bold choice.
It really was. And his mom, and I told him this, just sounds like an awesome woman. And look, because the hockey and the NHL seemed like such a far-fetched dream, she really stressed education. It was a single-parent household. Money was a little tight. She said, what if you break your leg tomorrow? So he's obviously a bright guy. He started his first year of medical school. He wanted to be a chiropractor and always just figured he would fall back on that. And now I'm not sure he needs to.
Yeah, I think he's doing okay, and his NHL career is working out all right as he's arrived in Vegas. But it leads to another point too, that the arrival of the National Hockey League in Vegas, it seemed like it was a good idea. The season ticket drive was great. It was successful. Vegas getting off to such a good start in the season. It's helped build the audience and helped build the enthusiasm and excitement for the team. But just the response from the city that they're getting thousands of people coming out to their practices is remarkable.
The practice thing it's insane to me. It's funny. It was kind of this novelty at one point of, wow, look at all these people coming, to see, a very limited piece of NHL action, aka NHL players skating in circles. But it keeps happening and happening. Remember when they had their fan fest in the middle of the season and thousands of people showed up in downtown Vegas? Like, they just keep exceeding expectations. And look, I think what they've done best is they know they're in a city of distractions and glittering lights, and they say we're distraction too. We're a really fun event to go to. They totally culture Vegas, and if anyone's been to a game, they know what I'm talking about. Like, it's different. They've got this pregame ceremony that feels like a medieval times ripoff. They've got really fun jumbotron segments. There's a marching band that's like glow in the dark perched up there. It's a fun time.
Can you buy those LED glasses? I've talked about that the last couple of weeks. Because I'd buy a pair and wear them in a second. I love those things. But again, that's embracing the city and the personality of it and reflecting it through the team.
It sure is. And something really interesting about Vegas is over the summer, Bill Foley took a caravan out and they sent it to Montana and Utah and Idaho. And those are areas of their TV distribution area. And they were trying to, do goodwill and say, like, let's make these all Golden Knights fans. And it almost felt like they weren't sure what kind of community they would be able to find in Vegas, because we know it's a transient community. But at every game, they have this thing where it's like, chant if you're a tourist, chant if you're a local. And every single time, the local chant seems like it's so much louder.
That's awesome. And they've also been sending out shirts too to fans farther away with the blank spot, getting them to write in that they're Vegas fans from wherever. I think that's a great idea.
It sure is, yeah. And that's really cool, because the thing with the T-shirts you're talking about, that's over countries all over the world. I can't remember the number of countries, but it was not insignificant.
That's fantastic. Emily Kaplan is with us, at Emily M. Kaplan, to follow her on Twitter. Great contributor to ESPN.com. So we'll jump ahead to another series now. And I love, it was fun, but it was a little bit serious too. The piece that you did about what it takes to smuggle a catfish into a game, into a Nashville Predators game. And it goes back and gives a little history of the catfish and the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stanley Cup game last year.
Yeah, it sure does. So I was lucky enough to be hooked up with Catfish Jake, who is famous in Nashville, infamous everywhere else. He is the guy that got arrested in Pittsburgh for throwing an instrument of crime onto the ice and disrupting a meeting. But look, wondered, okay, we know this is a tradition, but like, how do you physically buy that catfish, and like, how do you bring it into the arena? Because it's a dead fish. It smells, it's big, it's clunky. So Jake was kind enough to take me to Little Fish Mart in Germantown neighborhood of Nashville, and meet me an hour before the game to watch him literally stuff it into his pants. It was an eye-opening exercise in a brazen attitude, and it was awesome, and it was really cool to see, and another fan community that just embraces who they are as a community, something kind of quirky and fun. It's Nashville, and relates it to hockey.
Yeah, and we've talked about the atmosphere in Nashville, in the atmosphere in Vegas, and some of the other cities in the National Hockey League. But this again is just something that I think is starting to grow, and I think fans everywhere are understanding it and appreciating it. I think the atmosphere in all the buildings has been really good in this round of the playoffs, and I think that's something that I want to see more of, more personality and just more excitement as part of the game day experience.
Yeah, it is really neat to see the teams that are left, because each of them does feel like it has a unique atmosphere. Like, the visuals in Winnipeg are insane. You think of how hungry that city has been for an NHL team in that extended absence, and how much they're appreciating it right now. It's kind of a very old school, no frills, just pure hockey barn. Then you've got a place like Nashville, or we've got a place like Vegas, which is a little different. It's not a traditional hockey hotbed. And Tampa, which I should give a shout out to, because they've been one of the most successful Sun Belt expansion teams to really integrate with the community. And they do a great job filling that arena as well.
Yeah, no question. You're right about Winnipeg, and it's not the biggest building. In fact, it's the smallest in the NHL. But everyone wearing the white inside the building. It's something special about that. It's maybe the greatest sense of community in terms of the remaining franchises.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and you just see it. It's not even, like you said, it's a small arena, so you see all those fans pouring outside too, or in downtown Winnipeg, just to catch a glimpse of them.
Also, in that series with Nashville and Winnipeg, I really enjoyed the piece that you did profiling AJ Malesko. I was watching a little bit of the Olympic coverage and hearing her work on the women's game with Kenny Albert, and I thought, she's really good. I haven't really heard a lot of her work before. I think it would be really good to have her doing some NHL games. And 20 minutes later, Kenny Albert is reading the promo saying, oh, she's going to be doing the Boston and Detroit game. And I'm really happy that NBC has started to use her more, because I like her insights. She's smart. She knows the game. It's not about anything else except what's going on the ice. And the other part of it too is that she doesn't want to be known for being a woman doing a hockey game. She wants to be known for giving good information, and that's the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I love that. I really, she's someone I look up to just because of the way she handles herself. And it was something really interesting she told me in our interview. She was like, look, I'm confident in my knowledge of hockey. I've been around it long enough. I know hockey. And look, if you look at her resume, she sure knows hockey. She's a Patty Kazmar Award winner at Harvard. She was on the first Olympic U.S. hockey team, on that one gold in Nagano, then again in Salt City. She's so decorated, and it just has such insight to the game. And she's like, as you said, when people listen to me, I don't want them to remember they're listening to a woman, talk about hockey. I want them to say this: they're just two hockey people in the booth talking hockey. And look, when I look at her as an analyst, I'm not saying she's good for a woman. I just think she's a damn good analyst.
That's exactly it. I like the information that she gives. She can relate to personal experience and playing in big games, and that's what it's all about. And I hope that this is something that we'll see more of, because there are competent women that can and should be doing more on, not just on television, but in other areas of the media covering the sport as well.
Yeah, for sure. And she pointed out, which is a great point, look, Cassie Campbell's been doing this for a while in Canada, and there's also more opportunities for women now. We see one of the Lamoureux twin sisters on NHL Network. Megan Duggan is doing a couple things with the Bruins. So there's opportunities out there, and I think there will be more and more. But like you said, we didn't see a lot of AJ Malesko because she would just do Olympics every year. And being a broadcaster is all about getting reps. So every 4 years, it's not getting reps. So I love the fact that she's getting more exposure on NBC. And when you keep that in mind, without, with very limited experience, she details in the piece her tryout with Doc Emmerich, and that was it. And then she had no training, was just sent to the Olympics. It's even more impressive of how good she is.
Yeah, that's a great story that she relays about her first audition. One more quick one, if I can, Emily, before I let you go. I love the piece on Paul Martin, too, and his return or in his struggles to get back to a regular National Hockey League gig. It was really eye-opening about what the NHL is when sometimes you get later in a career and you suffer injuries and you have to really fight your way back. I found it really captivating.
Yeah, he's such a guy you want to root for because as he details his journey, it's been 14 years and pretty incredible. He's made the playoffs in each of the 14 seasons he's played in the NHL, but every time has led to some kind of heartbreak, and he's gone zigged when the other team zagged, and he just has all these near misses with winning. And he's really honest in reflecting on his career, kind of wondering what if, at the same time appreciative of a hockey career. And here he is with the Sharks, and look, he had to make his AHL debut at age 36. That's not easy. He had to go to the Seaboard group of Southwest after flying charters all these times. And he doesn't complain, just keeps his head up, and I admire that.
Yeah, it was a really interesting piece. That's Emily Kaplan from ESPN.com. Follow her on Twitter at Emily M. Kaplan. Please keep this coming, and I hope you'll come back and visit with us again. Emily, thanks for the time today. Really enjoyed it.
I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily Kaplan from ESPN.com. There's a lot of really good stuff that she's been churning out this season. I'll look forward to more of it. Lots to get into from Friday night's games. Bruins go down in overtime to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are on the verge of elimination. The Lightning will have a chance to move on from the second round of the playoffs on Sunday. Also on Friday night, Vegas Golden Knights, another victory over San Jose. 3-2. They now lead in that series. We'll get into that and much more all ahead. Ty Anderson with more on the Bruins' loss in overtime to the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's all coming up right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here's Saturdays and Sundays live at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Lots to get into today, from Friday night's playoff games, a look ahead to the Saturday night action. There's a new coach in Dallas. Mike Heika will join us to talk about that. Brian McNally from NHL.com will give us the latest on the Caps as they get set for their contest against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday night as well. Friday, it went to overtime, but it was the Tampa Bay Lightning prevailing over the Boston Bruins. They now lead the series 3-1 and have a chance to close it out Sunday in Tampa Bay. Ty Anderson covers the Bruins for 98.5 The Sports Hub. Follow him on Twitter at _Ty Anderson, and he joins us now. I don't know where you want to start with this game, Todd. Do you want to talk about the Brad Marchand? Do you want to talk about the lineup changes, the officiating? You tell me where you want to go first.
Well, I think you have to start with the lineup. I think if you're the Bruins, you put in Ryan Donato and you put in Brian Gionta, and you lose with Brian Gionta and Ryan Donato on the ice. I think that's the big thing. These guys, in my opinion, for the majority of the game, they were not played. They had maybe 3 or 4 shifts per period. They went long stretches without playing. And then to see them on the ice 3 minutes in overtime, and you see Donato loses a board battle and Gionta can't lift a stick in front of the net, and that's how the Lightning win the game. It's a little bothersome, I think, if you're a Bruins fan, because that you didn't trust these guys enough to play for the first 10 games of the playoffs. Now they're out. You didn't trust them to play in Game 4, and they're out there 3 minutes into the overtime frame. That is a little tough to swallow, I think, if you're a Bruins fan today.
Yeah, that was it was an interesting, curious choice, however you want to put it. I thought that the Ryan Donato substitution, okay, that's an interesting one, but then they pulled Danton Heinen out of the lineup, who I thought had played reasonably well in the series, and that, as much as anything, kind of struck me as odd.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I was on board with Donato. I wasn't on board with Brian Gionta. This is a guy that hadn't played all postseason. He had 1 point in his final 15 games of the regular season. He basically played his way out of the lineup. He had a good start, but a really weak finish. And to sort of turn to him in Game 4 over Danton Heinen, over Riley Nash, over Tommy Wingle, it just seemed like a really odd fit from the start. And, sure enough, it comes back to bite them. I think that, in a way, Cassie and the Bruins, they overthought this. They overthought what needed to change. I think Donato alone was a good move. It's just you change up 2 things at once. I just think it was a little too much. I think, given where they were in the series, they needed just 1 win to be back even. Now they're on death's door here with no breathing room at all.
Yeah, and maybe and you're right with maybe it's the lineup substitutions, and maybe that, to try and carry it a step further, is a bit of confusion in terms of what they need or what they want or how they want to best contend with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Is it the speed that they have to deal with? Is it by being more physical? Is it being more responsible, more defensive, or are you trying to get more scoring? And I think that's almost where I'm unsure of what the Boston Bruins game plan is. You put Donato in, but you take Heinen out. You put Gionta in because you think he's going to be responsible defensively. I don't know. It still looked like the speed was taking advantage of the Bruins at times, especially with the speed and the pairing of Chara and McAvoy getting disrupted a number of times by the Lightning.
Yeah, that was probably Chara and McAvoy's one of their worst games of the season. Forget the postseason, just in general. That was one of their worst games, in my opinion. And yeah, you're still seeing the Bruins. They have these pockets where they dominate, and then they have these pockets where they're hemmed in their own zone for what feels like an eternity. And that's been a big thing here. I thought yesterday they were doing a better job of handling their breakouts and battling through the Lightning forecheck. But you're talking about a team that really needs to get their defense activated to sort of solve this forecheck here. And I don't know if you can consistently do that. You can get that from guys like Charlie McAvoy and Matt Grzelcyk, but beyond the roster, you look at last night, they lose Torrey Krug in the third period, and then you have Kevin Miller and you have Adam McQuaid. I mean, these aren't 2 guys that are known for leading breakouts. Same for Chara. So you're talking about a defense that I think is a little short-handed when it comes to handling what the Lightning have been throwing at the Bruins. And you're talking about wingers that are not supporting their rush as much as they should. Look at that Rick Nash play leads to the first goal there. I mean, that is just, you can't make that turnover against this kind of team. It's just, they're too good, and I think the Bruins are noticing that. I mean, this Lightning team, there's really not a glaring weakness. You know, the glaring weakness might be in net, to be honest, but that speaks to how brave a team they have so far.
Yeah, if that's the weakness, I can live with that if I'm the coach or the general manager. The other thing that with Boston last night was taking penalties and giving the Tampa Bay Lightning an opportunity on the power play. Now I know that Kucherov hadn't scored going into last night's game, and Stamkos just got the empty netter in the night before. But you know that this line is going to find a way to get some scoring going, and well, they both did last night.
Yeah, and I mean, what can you do there? You know, you have dueling sort of just one-time bombs on either side of the power play. I mean, it's a remarkable unit, and it's amazing that the Bruins have kept them off the board for as long as they have. But you sort of knew this was going to happen, right? I think that it was unfair and unrealistic to sort of expect a 7-game series to go down without Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos making an impact. And I think that, you know, the Bruins were playing with fire in a way that you could live with this to a certain point, and so you need production. And you're looking at the Bruins, and they're not matching it. You know, the Bergeron line, they're the only line that's scoring. And this team didn't create a 5-on-5 goal during the 2 games in Boston. And sure enough, last night, Kucherov and Stamkos come to play, and at big moments too. You know, people in Boston are upset about the Stamkos goal and how it transpires there. They feel that Kucherov was held or hooked or hauled down McAvoy in some regard, and that's how they feel, you know, waking up this morning. But it is a real thing that these guys, they've awoken from their slumber here, and you're sort of waiting for the Bruins to match that with David Krejci, Rick Nash, you know, some of these guys that have scored all season, and you're just not getting it right now.
Ty Anderson is with us, covers the Boston Bruins for 98.5 The Sports Hub. You can follow him on Twitter @_Ty Anderson. Bruins on the brink of elimination. They'll play Game 5 of the series Sunday afternoon in Tampa. The Lightning up 3-1 in the series. So what does Boston do now? I'm not sure if there's a line juggling or a lineup move that you can make. I also, and just one more in the line juggling too. I thought it was interesting that they moved David back as just about as far down in the lineup as they could, and you have to wonder if that's maybe a choice that could have or should have been made by Bruce Cassidy or will be made for Game 5.
Yeah, I think they if they could scratch David Backes with a viable option, they probably would. You know, he has been so bad this series. I thought that his speed was noticeably off. He has none against Toronto. And in my head, I said, okay, well, Toronto's a fast team. You know, maybe that's why. But it's actually looked worse against Tampa Bay for whatever reason. He's just constantly a step behind. He's really not getting involved in any way. I think that when he's been in front of the net, he's been clunky at best. He's really not getting his stick down on pucks for deflections and things of that nature. It seems that his stick is always in the air too. It's never on the ice for these shots that go through, and it just seems like he's been a real waste of a roster spot right now for them. And that's not why they paid him the big bucks. You know, they want him to be a leader here and help their young guys. He's not doing that. So, but here's the thing: I don't think they're going to take him out. I think they're going to try to play him 8 to 9 minutes a night and see if they can get a good 8 to 9 minutes. But in terms of what you do here in Game 5, you know, my big switch. I mean, I would put Donato with Krejci and with DeBrusk, and I'd move Rick Nash down, because I think you're at the point now where you got to get desperate here. You got to try to balance your scoring. You got to get something beyond the Bergeron line. And right now, the middle 6, you know, the middle 2 lines here, they're not working. They're not working at all. So it's time to do something different. You know, if you want to play Ryan Donato, play him in a role that he can actually contribute in. You know, don't put him with Sean Corrali and Brian Gianti. He's not going to score there. He's a scorer. Put him in the right position to score. And it's desperation time, like I said. So, you know, what do you get to lose at this point? You know, you're probably not going to win 3 games in a row anyway, so you may as well try something different instead of doing the same thing that's led to 3 straight losses.
And that's exactly it. And I guess that was the thinking. You know, to make 2 or 3 lineup changes is a significant move. The question is, were they the right choices? I was also a little surprised that Riley Nash was pulled out.
Yeah, me too. I did. One of the only guys winning faceoffs in this series, and granted they win some draws last night, but again, it comes back to sort of that power play. Riley Nash has been a big part of your penalty kill all season, and you sort of look at what happens last night. I would have liked to have seen Riley Nash out there. I think that, yes, he's not playing like he did in the regular season. We'll all agree to that. I just think that this is a guy that he is sort of the glue to your bottom 6, because he can play the wing, he can play center, he's good at protecting leads. You know, don't tell me they couldn't have used him last night out there with a 1-goal lead in the 3rd period. this is a guy that they've relied on again and again this season. And, it really stinks when he's in the press box watching during critical moments where you want defensive responsibility. I don't think if it's Riley Nash out there last night, not Brian Johnson in overtime, I'm not sure Dan Girardi scores that goal. I'm really not. He is one of your underrated defensive sort of specialists here, and he's in a suit watching from the press box. It's just, it borders, in my opinion, it honestly borders on inexcusable on the part of Bruce Cassidy. He's been a great coach all season long, but it really seemed like he sort of overthought everything about this game in so many ways.
And the other thing that Boston's going to have to deal with, I haven't seen any official updates yet, and I'm not sure that we'll get anything more than it's a lower body injury. But Torrey Krug, after going hard into the boards in the third period, did not return for the third period, did not come out for the overtime, and his ankle looked to be bending in ways that it's not supposed to bend. And I'm not anticipating Torrey Krug is going to play in Game 5, and I'm not sure what the Boston Bruins are going to do about that.
Yeah, no, I think there's almost no way that he plays. I mean, unless this is just a really bad sprain or whatever you want to call it. But, he left the Garden last night on crutches and in a walking boot. So I don't think that's the case. They're going to go to Nick Holden here. Holden really hasn't played much this postseason. You look at his one game he did get in. He didn't get a ton of action. So another guy that is sort of a home run play for the Bruins. But behind that, it's not as if this was last season where they had Charlie McAvoy waiting down in Providence. They don't really have anybody besides Holden to go to here. But you look beyond that, it's Paul Postma and Tommy Cross. I mean, these guys are not guys you want to put into a must-win game. So it will be Nick Holden. But realistically, you're talking about Cassidy probably playing his top two pairings close to 25 to 30 minutes in Game 5 because he simply has to. I don't really know how much he's going to trust a Nick Holden, Adam McQuaid pairing. So you're going to see a heavy dosage of Chara and McAvoy. And like we said, they didn't play great last night. And then you're talking about Matt Grzelcyk and Kevin Miller on your second pairing. So it's a tall order, especially on the road. But, this team is resilient. They've made a point of being resilient all season. So maybe they have one last gasp in them. But the Torrey Krug loss is a gigantic one, to say the least.
Yeah, sure is. That's Ty Anderson from 98.5 The Sports Hub, @_Ty Anderson, to follow him on Twitter. We've tweeted out his latest piece talking about Charlie McAvoy and the non-call on Nikita Kucherov last night as well. Good stuff, Ty. Thanks for joining us today, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
It's a tall ask for the Boston Bruins just to try to bounce back from the loss of Torrey Krug. He's the guy on the power play and just doing so much for the Boston Bruins. Down 3-1 in the series, Tampa will have a chance to eliminate the Bruins and move on to the Eastern Conference Final in their game on Sunday. A little bit later on, we'll look ahead to the games this evening with the Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins. Brian McNally from NHL.com will join us. We'll get the latest on the Caps. Dallas Stars have a new head coach in Jim Montgomery. Mike Heika will join us with the latest on the Stars. Lots more to get into on last night's game. The licking incident with Brad Marchand that is still captivating the attention of fans on social media, and of course now it's become part of the league as well. We'll talk about that and a little bit more on the officiating and the poor officiating that took place last night and has been prevalent throughout the first 3.5 weeks of the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. @Hockey Unfiltered, @Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Great nominations so far for the HU Dog of the Day. That's the hashtag, HU Dog of the Day. Send us your photos through Twitter, through Instagram, using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. I'm looking at the photo of Ella that Dennis sent in. That's nice. And yes, licking is okay for Dogs of the Day nominations. That's all good. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues. In our next hour, Mike Heika will join us with the latest on the Dallas Stars and their new head coach, Jim Montgomery. Some other stuff that may be percolating with the Dallas Stars, too, as they, like the rest of the league, get set for the NHL entry draft that's taking place in Dallas in late June. We'll talk to Mike about that. And also, we'll look ahead to games this evening. Yes, 3.5 weeks into the Stanley Cup playoffs. The series is even between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Plenty of stories, plenty of drama, and that one, we'll get into it a little bit with Brian McNally in the next hour as well. That series even at 2 games apiece. Winnipeg and Nashville, Game 5. Also, it's about a 9:45 puck drop Eastern time. Game 5, Winnipeg, Nashville, also even at 2 games apiece. Haven't seen or heard any inkling of who's singing the anthem in Nashville for this one, but I'm looking forward to getting a taste of that great atmosphere now after a couple of great games in Winnipeg as well. Friday, still so much discussion about what took place in Boston. 4-3 is the final. Tampa Bay beats Boston in overtime. Dan Girardi with his second of the series. I know, it sounds weird just to say that. Dan Girardi with his second goal of the series for the Tampa Bay Lightning as the overtime winner. Puck made its way out in front, went off the skate of Brian Giunta. Girardi tipped it in with one hand, gets behind Tuukka Rask, and now the Boston Bruins are down 3-1 in the series. There's a lot of stuff to sort of wade through and peel back and look at in this one. An awful lot of attention, of course, to Brad Marchand sticking his tongue out and licking Ryan Callahan. I don't know. There's going to be a legalese-filled email distributed by the National Hockey League, and everybody's going to have to fall in line that there will be no longer any licking permitted. If you don't follow along, then it's going to be subject to further discipline. And I don't know. Seeing an email coming in with licking as the subject heading is going to be a little disconcerting, to say the least. But it's weird that this has occurred and kind of taken on a life of its own. And there are some other things in this game and throughout the playoffs that haven't received as much attention as they probably should. For the second consecutive game, Brad Marchand, the licker, also attempted to commit another dirty, low, dangerous hit on a different Lightning player. In game number 3, he had to go at Dan Girardi. It was late in the game, and the refs were just kind of looking the other way and letting stuff go. And Girardi went up and over as Brad Marchand kind of submarined him. Oh, it's only a few seconds left. If we blow the whistle and call a penalty, oh, that might result in a scrum and things might get out of hand. So we're just going to let that go. Well, in game number 4 on Friday, it was Ryan Callahan who got lined up for another low bridge hit. Callahan sees that it's coming and quickly tries to stop and protect himself so that he doesn't go ass over apple cart on top of Marchand. This is a dirty hit, and I don't know why it's penalized or not penalized. It makes no sense. If you are a smaller player, as Brad Marchand is, and you're trying to brace yourself and administer a solid body check, you do not bend over at the waist. And that's what he's doing in both of these instances, in game 3 and game 4. And it's not the first time he's done it, and he's been penalized severely before it. I don't know why it's not getting any, I can tell you why it's not getting any attention now, is because he's licking people. And it's being disruptive, and it's getting guys off their game, and I get that. I think there's a little bit too much of a moral assertion that there's no place for that in our game, and I guess everybody draws the line at licking. But a lot of guys have done a lot of gross things to win games. This one is very demonstrative, and it's gross. So as I said earlier, unless it's between consenting adults, licking is not permitted. It's very personal. The league's going to get into it. They're going to issue an official, hey, stop that stuff. I don't know that we need a rule for it, but they are. But it's taken away some of the attention, and I guess maybe this is good for some, in that it's taken away the attention from some really bad officiating. There was no penalty on that low bridge hit on Ryan Callahan. Oh, he didn't go do the full cartwheel over his back. How is that a penalty? It's a dirty hit. It's clipping, it's kneeing, whatever you want to call it. You do not bend over at the waist to administer a body check. I don't care if you're a bigger or a smaller player. That's a dirty hit. You're trying to injure someone at that point. There will be no supplementary discipline hearing. But that whole play, there's another big collision, there's the Marchand low bridge hit, and there's 2 or 3 scuffles that are going on, and the play is blown dead by the referees at that point in the second period. Go away to commercial, come back, they're all lined up ready for the face-off. No penalty has been called. Then why did you blow the play dead? Poor choices, poor decision-making, deciding to implement your own level of interpretation on the rule book. This is what gets people upset. How many times have you heard watching the Stanley Cup playoffs? Well, the referees have made a determination with that first call that this will be the standard tonight. Does that make any sense to you that the rules are changed on any given different day? It's a different set of rules and a different standard of application? That makes absolutely no sense to me. No, they're taking the rule book and interpreting it and deciding what they will call, what they won't call, and they're making bad calls. It's awful. A little more on that and some other things coming up in our next hour. First hour of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is sailed by at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. If you want to weigh in a little more on the licking incident, the bad officiating, the games from Friday night, and a look ahead to Saturday. Hour number 2 of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Man, hour number one sailed by. It's going to be a busy hour number two as well. Getting you set for Saturday night playoff action. Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, game number 5 of that series. Even right now at 2 apiece. Brian McNally will join us later on this hour, get the latest on the Caps. We'll see if there's a change coming in the Capitals lines. Tom Wilson's out, of course. Fonte Smith-Pelly moved up. We'll see if Barry Trotz is going to stick with it. I'm not sure. There's only so much you can do, isn't there? I don't know. We'll talk to Brian about that and much more. Dallas Stars have a new coach coming in. Jim Montgomery gets the gig. Mike Heika will join us a little bit later on in the hour to talk about the new coach and what's ahead for the Dallas Stars as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. That's where we're looking for your HU Dog of the Day submissions. We do it every Saturday. We like to recognize and honor great dogs, and the winning photo will go up on our website, up on our Facebook page, out through our social media channels. There's no cash prize, just glory. We like to recognize and honor great dogs. We're a dog-friendly show. That kind of licking is okay. Dogs and people that are receptive to it, owners, that kind of licking is okay. During a National Hockey League game, not so much. Brad Marchand was at it again on Friday night. Ryan Callahan was the victim this time. When asked about it, Marchand said, well, he punched me in the face 4 times. Oh, I get it. Lick him. That'll solve the problem. Marchand was also involved in a low hit on Ryan Callahan, and that, of course, was the reason that the two were nose to nose and discussing in a very calm and rational manner. No further discipline. It was a low hit. You don't bend over at the waist to hit someone, even if you're delivering a hip check. Whether it's open ice or up against the board, you don't see very many in the open ice anymore because guys aren't vulnerable. You don't bend over so that your chest and torso are parallel with the ice surface. Yes, you do lean forward and stick your keister out to put the hip into a guy and administer the check, but you do not flatten out the way Brad Marchand did against Ryan Callahan. That's not how you give a hip check. That's just one of the many items from the game with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. It looked like game number 3 at first. Tampa jumps out to a 2-0 lead, but hold on. Boston's there. They're coming back. David Pastrnak scores. Patrice Bergeron gets a couple, including a shorthanded goal. And then they've got the lead. They're past the midway point of the third period. It's looking good. It's looking positive. Charlie McAvoy scoops up the puck behind his net, goes to carry it out along the left side of the goal. But hold on. Nikita Kucherov gets him with the stick, gets him with his left hand. McAvoy ends up on the ice. The puck moves up to JT Miller, who sends it over to Steven Stamkos, who sizzles one up into the top of the net by Tuukka Rask. Bang, game's even. What? No penalty? No penalty there? No penalty there. Referees are standing right there, but there's no penalty call. That's another example of the poor officiating that has taken place in the postseason. It has been clearly visible in so many different fronts. I don't know. Now, I'm not giving the referees a pass on this, but there are reasons why calls are missed. And sometimes you are going to get missed calls. Everybody gets a break now and then. Sometimes they go against you. But there is a reason that more calls are being missed. And I talked about this a little bit on Wednesday on our Little Saturday podcast. It's our midweek podcast where we have a few topics that we don't get to on the weekend to keep our conversation going. We have spent time getting rid of the restraining fouls so that the game is faster and more skilled than it ever has been before, and it's still going to get quicker. Officials can't, or in far too many cases, won't call penalties. They're tentative at times. They don't want to make a mistake. If they don't think they've seen something, they're not sure, they can't make the call right. Oh, yes, but they get more calls right than they get wrong. That ratio isn't nearly as large as it once was. And it is getting worse because I can watch a game on TV and make way better calls than a lot of referees can. And if you don't address this, this is not purely on the officials. Them deciding what the standard is on any given night is asinine and needs to stop. And that's what's been happening. But this is a two-pronged problem. The other is they can't keep up with the game. Because the game has gotten so fast and so much of the 20x85 is used at once, they cannot keep up with the game and be in position to make calls properly. The game is getting too fast. The players are so skilled, they can't keep up with it. The rate of skill and speed that has accelerated in the National Hockey League, referees have not been able to keep up with. And they're falling further behind. And something needs to be done about this. How many offenses have been deemed so severe that a suspension is warranted, yet did not receive a penalty in the postseason? Drew Doughty hits William Carrier in round 1. No penalty on the play. Suspended. Josh Morrissey cross-checks Eric Stahl in front of the net. No penalty on the play. Tom Wilson hammers Zach Aston Reese. 4 officials converge. Talk about it. Discuss it. No call. Play on. Oh, and it works the other way too, as we saw last night in the Tampa Bay Boston game. Because the referee's arm shoots up so fast as players come together and it looks bad. A player goes for a sprawl on the ice from a clean hit, and except there's going to be a penalty call. Want some examples of that one? Blake Wheeler in Game 3 against the Nashville Predators. Austin Watson. There's no head contact there. It was called charging, but that's lame. Brad Marchand on a breakaway, Game 2 of the series. Cross-check to the hands. No call. And why that was is because Kelly Sutherland dropped the puck at the faceoff at center ice and couldn't keep up with the play. I'm not sure why that happened, but he could not get in position fast enough to make that call accurately. Can't see it, can't call it. This is a problem that's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. This is something that needs to be looked at. In addition to the officials deciding what they're going to call on any given night, the game is getting tougher to officiate. It's getting much more difficult. And the Bruins have been victims a few times. Tampa too. If you want to go back and forth and say they got more calls than us, that's fine. But those will even out eventually, and it doesn't matter. Referees are also choosing not to call too many penalties. That Kucherov penalty on Charlie McAvoy that went uncalled, Was awful. Led directly to a goal. That can't happen. And now Tampa has the opportunity to close it out Sunday afternoon against the Boston Bruins. Let's get to the late game, because I haven't talked about the late game yet, and there's some interesting stuff continuing to go on between the Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks as well. Golden Knights, by their own admission, did not have a good game a couple of days earlier in San Jose. Game 4, they were not at their best, and Gerard Gallant challenged them, said, like, if you want to win this, you got to be better. We weren't good enough. Played a great Game 3, got a victory, got ahead, and as often the case, well, we got our split. It was a close game through the first period. Both goalies were good. Marc-Andre Fleury just seemed to have a little divine intervention again last night, though. Final seconds of the first period, Vegas is peppering shots on Martin Jones, and with 3 seconds left to go, James Neal pumps the puck in the net, and that smarts. 3 seconds left in the period. 5 minutes into the second, power play goal. Alex Tuch, his first of 2. Before the second period is halfway over, Erik Haula has his third of the postseason. Tuch makes it 4-0, and that's the end of the night for Martin Jones. Pete DeBoer gets him out. Good move. I don't blame him. It's 4-0. Get him out. Sit down, get ready, wakes up your team a little bit too, because they scored some goals. LeBanc, Hertl, and Bodker all scored. And then it gets to be a little, we'll say, nail-biting time. Sharks have the net empty. They're trying to look for the tying goal in the late going. Jonathan Marchessault is inside his own blue line. That takes some stones, but he did take his time, made sure, fired the puck all the way down into the empty net. 5-3 is the final. This series has kind of been like a tennis match with lobs and volleys back and forth, trying to maneuver your opponent. After the Knights took Game 3, the Sharks came out, put on a clinic in Game number 4. 4-0, Martin Jones, sensational in the shutout. And last night, series goes back to Vegas. It's Game 5. It's going to be decisive. Golden Knights weren't with it in Game number 4. They played perhaps their best game of the playoffs. Good move by Gerard Gallant to challenge his team. Changed up the lineup a little bit. Tomas Tatar is out again. Nosek and Merrill are also out. It was the right time to make some moves. Show that you're serious. Look, you guys aren't going to be good enough. We're going to get somebody who is going to do this job. That's what you're looking for in the playoffs. You got to see your team get better as the postseason moves along. Vegas took a big step last night. Sure, in the series, they're now up 3-2. But they took a big step in growth and maturity last night. And I mentioned Alex Tuch and Erik Haula and their contributions in Game number 5 for Vegas. They have been doing it all season. If you're the Minnesota Wild, how much are you missing both of those guys? Because they were both yours last year. If you're Chuck Fletcher, reflecting back on your time with the Minnesota Wild, and that deal you made with George McPhee, thinking, maybe I want to do that one over again. Minnesota was in a tough spot. I'll give you that. They had a lot of defensemen and players that they wanted to protect in the expansion draft. It was a really difficult position for them, and they were trying to manage cap space. They're trying to keep players that they liked on their roster. Erik Haula was a good player, but he wasn't one of their elite forwards. He wasn't going to be one of the ones that they were going to protect. Alex Tuch was a good prospect, but he's only played a handful of games. And Chuck Fletcher's trying to manage his roster. He's trying to stay under the cap and give himself some breathing room, and decides, you know what? Of what I've got on my roster, I like Erik Haula, but he's not an irreplaceable player. I'm going to have to pay him some money, and I can really use the cap space. If I can make a deal with Vegas to draft him, then that's great. But the price they had to pay to do that, because Alex Tuch is big and he can skate, he can move, and he is just starting to hit his stride now for Vegas. They juggled up the lines a little bit last night, but those two have played on a line together. It's a really good second line. Haula had 29 goals this year. Alex Tuch in his first year, 15 goals, also popped 22 assists. That's a good job by George McPhee, doing his homework on both players and getting a great deal from Minnesota. That's part of the reason that Vegas has been so successful. Smart moves, looking at and evaluating talent, understanding what might be available, where you can make a deal and bring in some talented players who have potential but maybe haven't gotten the opportunity. We're in a no-win situation on their current team. Boy, has it worked out well for both of those players and the Vegas Golden Knights. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Still looking for your nominations for the HU Dog of the Day. That's the hashtag, HU Dog of the Day. We pick a winner before the end of the hour, and we'll put the photo up on our website and Facebook page. Mike Heika from the Dallas Morning News. Well, for a while, coming up in the next segment, we'll talk about the Dallas Stars, and Brian McNally later on this hour as well. A preview on Washington and Pittsburgh, game number 5 of that series set to go this evening. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, powered by Primetime Radio. 2 games on the Saturday schedule with Pittsburgh and Washington. Game 5 of that series at 7 Eastern. Winnipeg and Nashville, Game 5 at that series just after 9:30 Eastern. Both are even at 2 games apiece. Brian McNally will join us later on this hour. We get the latest on the Washington Capitals. In Dallas, they are making news with the official announcement that they have a new head coach. Jim Montgomery takes over as head coach of the Dallas Stars. People all over Dallas are getting new jobs, including our next guest, Mike Heika. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike Heika, now of the Dallas Morning News, but soon to be of the Dallas Stars. Mike, welcome and congratulations.
Thanks, Todd. That's very nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a great opportunity there to connect with the fans, and I hope to seize that.
And tell some pretty interesting stories about the Dallas Stars and their players and their new head coach, Jim Montgomery, who I like what I have heard so far in that we're going to see up-tempo and aggressive hockey with the Dallas Stars on a consistent basis next year. At least that's the plan.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, we've had this discussion here, just among ourselves and on radio, about Hitch was pitching the same thing at the beginning of last year, and Lindy did the same thing. And so, how is Jim Montgomery going to be different? But he believes that he has an aggressive type of hockey that is both physical and fast, and that he can get these guys to do it. And then the other interesting part of this is he's coached 20-somethings for the past 13 years, and the Stars are starting to trend to a younger lineup, and maybe Jim Montgomery will connect better with those younger players than Hitch and Lindy did.
It seems that this is something that we're hearing more about, and I think going to see more of in the National Hockey League, is that there has to be a different kind of player and coach relationship going forward. It's not the ruler and those that obey him that has been prevalent in so many sports and other areas of life. It's much more, I think, of a collaborative process. And I think players are so much more knowledgeable. They want to know and understand more and what the steps are as well as the end goal.
Yeah. And if you talk to guys like Craig Ludwig or Stu Barnes, and it's really only one generation of players, and we're talking about 20 years. And they said, we didn't ask why back then. We just did it. And you basically have to explain to the players why they are doing this. And it is a different mindset because they grew up with I think a lot more information in their head, at least, and at their fingertips. And so they've asked why a lot. And so now you get in here and say, if you do this, this is what we are hoping will happen for our team. And they use video to show all that. And I think Jim Montgomery's big on that. But yeah, it's a different mindset for the younger players. And then as you look around, I think the process of getting those players into the league is much quicker. You see 20, 21, 19 even playing in the NHL and playing significant roles. And I think the Stars are trending in that direction with a player like Miro Heiskanen. And so that all of this is working together with the thought process that having a young coach is a good idea.
So I would say that while we would expect changes in the Dallas Stars roster, I don't know that there's going to be the big changes that we saw last year with Alex Radulov coming in and Ben Bishop coming in. This will just continue the progression that the Stars have begun already.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I think some of the people who are already here might get heightened roles. Some of the people who are in the system will come here. I think Val Nichushkin comes from Russia with now 5 years pro hockey under his belt. Julius Honka is going to get a chance, I think, to play more now with 200 games of AHL experience. Miro Heiskanen is going to come in as a 19-year-old and I believe get a real opportunity to play at the NHL level. So those, guys like that will be the big acquisitions. And then they do need to find a backup. They really need to find a dependable, good backup goalie. And then I think they have to, ponder whether Jason Spezza is a player to be your second line center, or if you need to move him before his final year and try and find a younger option in that regard.
Yeah, and those were a couple of my next questions too. Is I'm not sure. Jason Spezza has never been the fastest guy in the National Hockey League, and he had his struggles last year under Ken Hitchcock as well. He wound up sitting out of the lineup occasionally too. I'm just not sure where his future lies and if it's going to be with Dallas or not.
Yeah, and there's another wild card thrown into this is the fact that the Stars really truly believe Martin Hanzal is an important player. And that, after he's had this back surgery, he should be ready to go around October or November. But that's a huge question mark. So now you toss in that huge question mark to the question mark of whether Jason Spezza can play in, Jim Montgomery's system. And you're talking about half your center depth is up in the air. I just think they want to be a little bit more on solid footing with their centers and try to decide where they're going in that regard. No, I mean, it really could work all out. And I talk to Jason a lot, and I like Jason a lot. He's one of the smartest people you'll ever talk to. And he truly believes that he can have an Eric Stahl renaissance if he's given the opportunity to play. And, that doesn't mean 40 goals. It means, get him back to 55 points and being a dependable second-line center. But it's just, like, to me, I don't know if you can go into next season with Sagan, Faksa, Spezza, and Hanzal as your four centers. It just seems a little bit shaky, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, is it better for Jason Spezza to potentially have this renaissance at center or on the wing?
He can play the wing. I think he prefers center.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, for whatever arguments you want to say about his performance last year, or how Ken Hitchcock used him, Jason really did try to do everything he could, to fit in. He's played the right wing on a line with Sagan and Ben before. The other thing they'll do is, and I think it's hard to do, but they say it's not that difficult, but he'll play center in the offensive zone because Sagan's more of a shooter, and Sagan will play center in the defensive zone because Sagan's better at defending in the center role in the defensive zone. But it just seems like with the game moving as fast as it's moving right now, that's a lot of thinking to do. And so if you're keeping Jason Spezza, in my mind, I think you have to try and consider him as a center. The other interesting part of all this is if you're getting Val Nichushkin back, and if you're trying to maybe get more minutes from a guy like Denis Gurianov or Rupe Hintz, then your wings start to fill up pretty quick. So, do you have better, quicker options on the wing already? If you're gonna use Jason Spezza, in my mind, I think you have to use him as a center.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mike Heika is with us from the Dallas Morning News for another week or so. Then the Dallas Stars at Mike Heika is how you follow him on Twitter. You mentioned the goaltending situation as well, and I'm assuming that Kari Lehtinen will not be back with the Dallas Stars. And I think you're right that a solid backup goaltender is important, because there's times that I just find Ben Bishop gets a little dinged up, needs to take a week off, and you need someone that you can just plug in there for 3 or 4 games in a row at times.
Yeah, and then I think 3 of the last 5 seasons he's gotten an injury in March or April or June in the in the Stanley Cup Finals. So you also have to have a guy who can play at the highest level if that becomes necessary. And that you think that's a hard thing to find, but if you look around from last year, there's some really good veteran backups. Jonathan Bernier, who came in St. Louis. My brain just didn't work. Anyway, there's 4 or 5 guys. Yeah, and guys who came in and played in important roles when the number one got hurt. And so that's kind of what they're looking for. But then those guys, I think, also are saying, hey, I just proved I can be a number one. Why wouldn't I go to a place that needs a number one and try and take the next step? So they're kind of going to have to find that guy who's 29, 30, 31, who doesn't mind being a backup goalie, and who looks at what Ben Bishop's history is and say, you know what, if I go to Dallas, which I think will be a good team, and Ben Bishop gets hurt, I'm going to have the opportunity to play in some really big games. And so they're going to have to try and find that guy, and my guess is they'll probably have to, pay him a little bit more money than you pay a regular backup goalie, and I think they can do that now because Bishop's salary cap hit is 4.9, and Kari Lehtinen's salary cap hit of 5.9 will leave. So you have the wiggle room to kind of outbid another team to get your backup goalie in here.
We saw the great season that John Klingberg had. He was really successful. There are more talented defensemen coming with the Dallas Stars as well. The other thing is that if Mark Mathot can ever stay healthy, I think that will be a nice boost to help shore them up as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at the group of defensemen, and they're going to have to make some choices. One of Jim Nill's problems, I think, for the past 2 or 3 years has been he's tried to go with 8 defensemen at the NHL level, and the flow didn't work. And especially with some of the younger defensemen who they'd go into the lineup for 2 games and come out for 2 games, it just really didn't help their development for guys like Nemeth and Alexiak. So Jim Nill is going to have to make some difficult decisions. The one good thing I think is the 2 guys who could be their 8 and 9 can play in the AHL, and that's Dylan Hetherington and Gavin Bayreuther are playing really well in the AHL playoffs right now. So if they can, just trust that those 2 are your 8 and 9, now you can settle on a group of 7 instead of 8. But that still leaves you with some difficult choices because, do you want to play Miro Heiskanen right off the bat? Do you think Julius Honka should be getting 20 minutes, instead of, 12 or 14? Is Stephen Johns now in your top 4? Is Mathot going to be healthy? Do you need to try and re-sign a guy like Ham, Hughes, or Patterin to, provide depth? And if those guys would be your 7th, are they going to be happy with that? Like, if you bring Dan Hamhuis back, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be happy being the 7th defenseman. So they've got a lot of questions. They have some really good choices, but it's up to Jim Nill then to arrange that group of defensemen into a workable unit.
Yeah, and it's like every team. It seems like there's some choices that need to be made in terms of personnel. But Jim Nill and Jim Montgomery also seem to be very excited about the potential of this team moving forward. Last year was disappointing that they stumbled down towards the end of the season, but that's not going to be a concern going forward. There should be progress made by Dallas next year.
Well, and Jim Montgomery said on the radio the other day, which I think is a really good, smart thing to say, and it shows that he understands where he's at, is that there are going to be some issues early on. And, he's going to have to learn how to be an NHL coach. We were here with Glenn Gulletson, and that is a process. No, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. Glenn Gulletson had coached in the AHL finals. And, but coming and taking that next step to the NHL is a big deal. So I do think the plan is that they will get better as the season goes on, and then they'll be playing their best hockey at the end of the year. And that hasn't been the case here. I mean, they've either started, mediocre or started fast and then just faded in March. And, the plan has to be get better, and trust the kids and let the kids get better. And if Julius Honka, makes a mistake in game 3, you still got to keep him in and hope that by game 70, he'll be playing really good hockey. And yeah, that is got to be the plan. That, if you're laying it out next year, they may stumble out of the gate. They may struggle early in the season, but they should be a really good hockey team by the end of the year.
Mike Heika with the Dallas Morning News for a few more days, and then the Dallas Stars at Mike Heika to follow him on Twitter. Great stuff, Mike. Congrats again, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Oh, we'll definitely talk. Thanks again, Ted.
Thanks, Mike Heika from the soon-to-be Dallas Stars. And it's a terrific point he makes about difficulty and adjusting and becoming an NHL coach and figuring out how to operate your team and run your team, because it's different whether it's college or the American Hockey League or the ECHL or whatever other league. But look at what happened with Florida last year. Bob Bugner and the Florida Panthers had a lot of growing pains. But you know what? They've got some good players on that team. Dallas is the same way. By the end of the season, Florida was humming pretty good, and they're going to be a team worth watching come next season as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles. Last call for our Dog of the Day nominations. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Send them to us via Twitter, via Instagram. Tell us your name and your dog's name. We like to recognize and honor great dogs, and we like cool dog photos as well. A little more on the Caps and the Pittsburgh Penguins series. Brian McNally covering the Washington Capitals for NHL.com will join us in the next segment. We'll squeeze in all that we can right up towards the top of the hour. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. you missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues up to the top of the hour at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. We're live every Saturday and Sunday beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Oh, yeah, we'll squeeze in as much as we can up before the top of the hour, get you set for the evening's action. Winnipeg and Nashville is the late game. Puck drop is shortly after 9:30 p.m. Eastern, about 9:40, 9:45 for Game 5 of that series. The early game shortly after 7 for puck drop between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. This series also even at 2 apiece. In Washington, Brian McNally covers the Caps for NHL.com. At BMcNally14 is how you follow him on Twitter, and he joins us now. We have seen some interesting things in the first 4 games with the Penguins and the Capitals, Brian. I don't expect anything different, and I guess the best thing to expect is the unexpected between these two teams.
Yeah, it's always Todd. That's always a good way to go with it. You never know what you're going to get from game to game. It's been a tight series, right? I mean, we haven't really seen explosions. We haven't seen like what the Penguins did in Philly, where they were able to score 8 goals in a game or win some games with kind of having to outscore them. This has been a lot tighter. Caps have kind of done that throughout the playoffs. They got credit from John Tortorella during the Columbus series for being hard to play against. That's not necessarily something opposing coaches have said in years past about the Caps in the playoffs. They're hard to beat, but not necessarily hard to play against, if that makes sense. And this year they are a little tighter, I think. And the Penguins have won 2 titles playing that way. So you get a little lower scoring series where kind of every mistake, every penalty you take, every suspension, all that stuff adds up. It's the little things. And kind of what the players have been emphasizing the last day or two.
I think now that we've had 1 game pass with the Tom Wilson suspension and incident and understanding that he's out of the lineup, I think that has more of a mental impact in the first game of that series for the Capitals. I think now that they're back home and now that they understand that this is the lineup that they're going to have, I think they'll be able to deal with it and approach it a little bit differently and a little more focused on their task tonight.
I think that's fair. That Wilson is a really good penalty killer, big physical force. So there are things that they miss and will miss. My thing with that was it's not like the Penguins were going to cry for them, right? They didn't have Malkin the first couple of games. That's a bigger loss than Tom Wilson is necessarily for the Caps. But Wilson does a lot of things for that team. He's a big physical player, hard to play against, good on the penalty kill. He was contributing on the score sheet. I mean, he had, I think, 2 goals and 5 assists in the 2 series combined. So he was playing well. That's a loss. I think one issue there is the Caps. You're starting to see a little bit of an exposure of their depth at this level because Andre Burakovsky's been out since early in the Columbus series. Now you're having to play Devontae Smith-Pelly on the top line. Neither he nor Alex Ovechkin had a shot on goal in Game 4. If you want to switch stuff up, you're going to be relying on guys like Jacob Vrana, who is 22, and this is his first playoff series. That's difficult. That's hard to make up once you get 1 or 2 key guys out of the lineup. They don't have the depth that they had maybe last year and in 2016 to be able to just shake that stuff off. So I'm intrigued to see how they come out. I'm intrigued to see how long Barry Trotz stays with Smith-Pelly on that top line, or if he tries something else, if he bumps TJ Oshie up to the top with Ovechkin and Evgeny Kuznetsov. Some different ways he can go, but he doesn't have a ton of options. And that'll be an interesting thing to watch early in this game if the Caps aren't scoring early as they have been throughout much of the playoffs.
Is it as much whether the Caps aren't scoring? I mean, if it's a scoreless game and you're into the second period, I'm not sure that you're going to be as quick to make that change. But if you find yourself down a goal or two and need some offense, that might be the spur that gets Barry Trotz to start juggling.
Probably a fair point. If they're down 2-0 midway through the second, maybe that's something that he goes, okay, I can't wait on this. I have to get us going now. Now let's bump up TJ Oshie, or now let's switch up. Occasionally he will switch up Backstrom and Evgeny Kuznetsov. It's been a couple months since that's happened. But if it's just not working, maybe you do that. It shows you the swings though, right? So, I mean, it just seemed like a day ago we were talking about the Penguins being kind of a one-line team and not getting enough contributions from the other players other than the Sidney Crosby line. And now when you lose a game, you kind of start focusing in, and the Caps start worrying about that stuff as well. So the momentum swings are kind of vicious in a series like this, where there really hasn't been much difference between the two teams.
Yeah, that's the nature of the playoffs. Brian McNally is with us, covers the Washington Capitals for NHL.com. At BMcNally14 is how you follow him on Twitter. It's Game 5 of the series between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. It moves back into Washington tonight, and I think that will be a help for the Capitals as well. In addition to losing one of their players on their top line, being in Pittsburgh, where it's a great boisterous atmosphere, but in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think that will help. I also am not expecting a lot of the nasty nonsense that ended game number 4 to carry over into this one. I think everybody's going to be focused on the task that, you know what, we got to win this game. That's the most important thing, because if we go up 3-2, that's a huge advantage for us.
Stakes are too high, Todd. Yeah, to be doing that kind of stuff. It can get physical and nasty. I think removing Wilson from that has maybe lessened that a little bit. But the Caps certainly, as they came off the ice, were frustrated the other night. I mean, they were angry at themselves. They thought that was a game they could have played better in, that they could have shown better. They didn't. They have been very, very good, not just this year, but in years past of putting those type of games behind them. They generally don't have 2 or 3 in a row in the playoffs where they just aren't good enough, or when they start questioning their effort. Their bounce back has been good. Even when they take some gut punches, like losing twice at home in overtime to Columbus, they rebound from that. So I wouldn't expect anything different. It doesn't mean they're going to win tonight, because obviously the Penguins will have something to say about that. They can raise their level as well. But I think you'll see much more from the Caps, much more early, especially from Alex Ovechkin. I think you'll see an engaged player getting shots on goal early, hitting people, making things happen. Whether or not he scores, Matt Murray will have something to say about that. But you'll see more from the Caps than he did in Game 4.
Yeah, I would expect so as well. But I don't think we can get too hung up on the Capitals lost and how devastating that was to the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. This was a 1-goal game. It was really close, and if Evgeny Malkin doesn't lunge and get that puck across the line by an inch, then this was maybe a closer game than some people are portraying it to be.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been that way the entire series, right? I mean, the Caps, I think, outplayed the Penguins. Maybe the biggest gap between the two teams was Game 1, and the Penguins had a 5-minute stretch where they dominated. And they stole the game. Overall, I think the Caps would look at Game 1 and say, "Hey, that was one we had. That was one we needed." They were able to bounce back, but now when you're tied 2-2, these are the ones you look back on and go, "Man, if 5 minutes, if you had just locked it down for a couple of minutes or kept them off the board, had one good shift," and that's the level of detail we're talking about, where these two teams just there isn't a ton separating them. And you let down for a little bit. You let down for that split second. Puck's in the back of your net, or you're on the PK, and all of a sudden you're in trouble. So it's fascinating to watch. It's like a chess match. These coaching staffs are going back and forth, and at this point it's a best of 3. So we'll see what happens tonight. The Caps have won, I think, the last 2 Game 5s at home against the Penguins. And it hasn't ended up winning them the series, but they've at least kept themselves alive and we'll see if they're able to finally, maybe for once, take control of the series and have the Penguins on the ropes. It's been a long time since we've seen that.
Yeah, the other thing that struck me about this series is that Matt Murray's been okay. He's been good, but I wouldn't classify his level of performance as great during this series. I think Braden Holtby has also been good, and there's times in the playoffs where you'd like your goalie to steal you one. And if this was ever an example of that, this would be perfect for the Washington Capitals. If Braden Holtby can have one of those games where he is just stoning the opposition no matter what they throw at them, that might be the best recipe for them.
Great point, Todd. I think Nick Backstrom said something interesting the other day where he essentially said, you're not beating the Penguins 1-0. Like, in other words, we need more offense, right? But
right.
As true as that is, the Caps do need, especially Game 6, probably, if certainly if they're facing elimination. But even if they're not, even if the Caps are up 3-2, you need Braden Holtby. That one game, of these next couple, the Penguins have a game in them where they will take over, where they will be the better team, getting more chances. And when that happens, if Braden Holtby is able to kind of hold up and is able to maybe, as you said, steal a game for the Caps, I think then that momentum swings decisively, even if it's only one game. If he plays fine tonight and they win, or plays fine tonight and they lose, if he has that one game where nothing the Penguins throw at him works, I got to give the Caps a great chance. Now, you could say the same thing about Matt Murray, but I think Holtby has been steadier in this series. Matt Murray has made some great saves, individual efforts. I don't think he's played as well overall as Holtby has. And so, we'll see which goalie has that in them. They both, God knows, they're both capable of it. Whichever team gets that kind of performance from either one of them is going to be in good shape to advance to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, a couple other quick ones, Brian, if I can, before I let you go. The Andrei Burakovsky doesn't look like he's going to come back in this series. He did get back onto the ice yesterday, I understand, but he's still got a ways to go before they get him back.
It seems like he had what they call a minor surgery, which I don't know what that means. It's funny how the teams talk in the playoffs. Minor surgery in the regular season means like 15 games to me, but in the playoffs, who knows? He was on the ice again after practice today, but until we see him taking part in practice, full contact and all that, I can't imagine he's close. And so, therefore, as we said, a guy who had, I think, 13 goals, 14 assists in the regular season, but was limited because of a broken finger early. That's a guy they miss. I mean, he's got that skill level to play with the Backstroms and the Kuznetsovs, and you miss not having him out there, not having that extra scoring option. So he's it's hard. To me, it'd be a miracle if he plays. Like, if this goes 7, he doesn't seem to be there yet. Maybe if the Caps advance, maybe he can come back in the next round, but he's just getting back on the ice, so it doesn't seem like an option for Barry Trotz there.
And the other thing about Washington that I've noticed, and I've liked, you always hear about John Carlson, you hear about Dmitry Orlov, who's having himself a nice series, Brooks Orpik a little bit too, but I really like the acquisition of Michael Kempny coming in. He doesn't have a lot of points, but he's noticeable out there and just seems to make the right play. And I've liked what he's done in this series.
Really interesting, Todd. I asked Barry Trotz that not 45 minutes, maybe an hour ago, that exact question. Because the question came up about, really it was more about the Penguins, about trade deadline acquisitions and what happens when you bring a Derek Brassard in and he knocks, it's a big splashy move, but it affects your lineup. It affects guys' jobs, and it can have a negative impact sometimes on a team as well as a positive impact. We saw it with Washington last year with Kevin Shattenkirk, right? The splashy move. Well, it knocked John Carlson off the top, off the top power play unit. Michael Kempny, Barry Trotz said, has been kind of one of those trades that is under the radar. Nobody really noticed it at the time, but he fit in seamlessly because he was a perfect left side partner for John Carlson. He stabilized their top 4. He allowed them to play their rookies like Christian Juice far less minutes. They don't even have to play Juice anymore if they don't want to. He's been in every game this series, and Kempny is just steady. He can skate. He plays well off Carlson. He's smart, and he's a little bit older, than you think. He's in his late 20s now, so he's got some experience in Europe, in North America. maybe didn't have the role he wanted with the Blackhawks, and certainly would have liked to have played more there. But the Caps kind of targeted and identified a guy that could help them at a limited cost, and he's been seamless. The fit there, as big a acquisition as Shattenkirk was last year, this is the kind of move that's really helped them because it's stabilized their whole game. And as I said, they're much harder to play against defensively with the way they're able to move the puck.
Yeah, I sure have. That's Brian McNally from NHL.com covering the Washington Capitals. At me, McNally14 to follow him on Twitter. Great stuff, Brian. Enjoyed it, and I'm hoping we'll be able to talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Enjoy tonight. Should be fun.
Thank you. You too. Brian McNally with the latest on the Washington Capitals. I like the acquisition of Michael Kempny. I think it's Chicago's loss for not playing him more because they certainly could have used him in their lineup. Playing 17 and a half minutes a game for the Washington Capitals just always makes the right play. Not flashy, not spectacular, but he's never going to hurt you. Exactly the kind of defenseman that you want, especially when he's paired with John Carlson. Game number 5 of the Caps and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Puck drop is shortly after 7 this evening. We'll talk a little bit more about the Jets and the Nashville Predators in our final segment and squeeze in a few other news and notes items as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Final segment of the Saturday program right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
It's the Saturday edition, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, live at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. If you miss a show, you can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, get them through iHeartRadio. Of course, they are also available on our website and on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Available now at the App Store. That includes our Little Saturday podcast. They come down on Wednesdays. It's just a little bit of weekend in the middle of the week. We like to keep the hockey conversation going. There's inevitably some news and topics that we like to talk about, and we don't want to go too far without any conversation. So we have a little Saturday podcast, our weekend in the middle of the week. They drop on Wednesday afternoon. You can get those on the app and subscribe through iTunes and iHeartRadio. It's going to be an interesting evening with 2 playoff games with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Game 5 of that series. Puck drop is shortly after 7. I had a question a little bit earlier. I'm sorry I didn't get to it. And we were talking a little bit with Brian McNally in the last segment about why Trotz is keeping the lines the same. He's limited in his options. As Brian mentioned, Andre Burakovsky is out of the lineup. Tom Wilson is suspended, limited in his options, and Devontae Smith-Pelly. That's kind of the right move to make. Now, how long he'll stick with it in this game, we'll wait and see. If it's a close game, you can stick with it. But if you're chasing it and you need offense, then maybe the line juggling comes in. The other game is Winnipeg and Nashville, 9:30 p.m. and puck drop probably around 9:40, 9:45 in Nashville. Who's singing the anthem? Don't know yet. Haven't seen it. No one snuck it out. No one's leaked it out. No one sent it to me, but we'll be tuned in to check it out. That series is also even at 2 games apiece. Notice Scott Burnside tweeting a little while ago. It looks like Kevin Fiala will go back into the lineup for the Nashville Predators, and Scott Hartnell may come out of the lineup. Okay. I like the move. It was an interesting move to put Scott Hartnell in, but the way Nashville took over game number 4 in Winnipeg and dictated the style of play, it was good, and I'm anxious to see what comes out in this series next. Both teams have won at home. Both teams have won away. Connor Hellebuck stole a game. Pekka Rinne was really good in game number 4. He kind of lost his mind in game number 3, took a swing at Adam Lowry, but he was very good in game number 4. So it's 2 even teams. Patrick Laine finally scored. Jets need a little more offense from some other sources. Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor, they have yet to score in the postseason. They both had plenty of scoring during the regular season. They need some scoring in the playoffs as well. I'm interested to see what happens with this series. It'll be another great atmosphere. It's different in Nashville than it is in Winnipeg. It's a little more tighter-knit community feel in Winnipeg as opposed to the Nash Vegas approach. Both fantastic, both wonderful, but it's going to be interesting to see. We have not heard or seen any official fallout yet from from the National Hockey League and the licking incident last night with Brad Marchand, who had his tongue out to Ryan Callahan. Apparently, the league is going to get involved. Oh, there's going to be some official legalese about it. Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's an official rule change, but licking will no longer be permitted and will be punishable. I think we touched on it nicely at the top of the show. Unless it's between consenting adults, licking is not allowed. Okay, dogs too. Dogs and pets too. And, in fact, I should mention our Dog of the Day winner is Ella, submitted by Dennis. Congratulations. Photo up on our website. We'll post it up on our Facebook page as well, and we'll tweet out the winner. By the way, if you missed it on our Twitter account yesterday, at Hockey Unfiltered, tweeted out a quick little video of absolutely the cutest thing you will ever see. It's a dog playing hide and seek, and I don't want to tell you anymore. I want you to go look at it because it is super cute and really funny. You can't stop giggling at it once you see it. Looking forward to good playoff action. Game 5s tonight between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals, and then it's the Jets and the Nashville Predators. We'll be back to talk about it on Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Looking forward to it. Cinco de Mayo, Derby Day, plenty of reasons, excuses, celebrations, if you will, for a little day drinking, mint juleps, a couple of cervezas, enjoy a great weekend. Spring is starting to arrive everywhere. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Saturday. We're looking forward to it, and some great playoff action as well. And we'll be back with you again Sunday morning, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is back then.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.